Hi guys, welcome back to Creep Designs by Twitch. Today I am not going to be working on a piece of furniture because on the weekend I not only sprained my ankle a little bit whilst going for a walk to get some exercise, but I also have done something to my neck. I woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and hurt myself somehow by turning because I'm old, and I've spent the last couple of days not being able to move, so I'm moving like this. Yeah, hopefully it gets better real fast because, you know, this sucks. But anyway, not working on furniture, but I am going to be doing a review of the controversial KMART chalk and furniture paint. So I'll be looking at those two, and I've also got a tin of the decor and furniture lacquer, which is a clear coat. Before I get too far into this, I just want to say a quick thank you to Angela for buying me coffees in the Buy Me a Coffee app. Thank you so much, Angela. Really appreciate it. If anyone else is interested in supporting me through the Buy Me a Coffee app, you can find the link in the description of this video, as well as a link to a video that explains my new membership program. We have lots of fun over there. Well, I think we do anyway. So please go watch that and seriously consider joining us on the caffeinated side. That's become my logo apparently. Slogan. Anyway, I'm going to be testing this one. I have used this one previously when I had my first attempt at doing this video, but I wasn't happy with how the video turned out, and then I realized there was other paints there, and so I wanted to do a more comprehensive video checking to see if a customer is coming. So I thought it would be better to test a couple of the paints. I don't actually have any chalk paint to compare it to. I only really have mineral paint because I prefer mineral paint. Won't be comparing because it's not really fair to compare a chalk paint to a mineral paint, so I'm not going to do that. But I am, however, going to be explaining or trying to explain the benefits. Will, however, be trying to explain the difference or the benefits of using a specialty furniture paint as opposed to this stuff. But I will be completely honest about my thoughts on these paints. I will, however, be doing a comparison between the KMART clear coat and the Artisan Millie clear coat, because I do have clear coat, and I'm pretty sure I know which one I'm going to prefer. Okay, so I will be following the instructions on these paint tins to the letter. I don't usually do that, but that's because I'm familiar with the paint I usually use and I trust it and it's good quality paint, but I am going to be following all of the instructions on this. Okay, so for the chalk paint, it says it is an ultra matte finish paint suitable for glass, ceramic, wood, metal surfaces and more. So surfaces I'm working on will be glass, which is the mirror, and floorboard. It's not a glossy surface though. It's only got a little bit of paint on it, but I'll be mostly working on the unpainted part. It also says directions: shake or stir well, clean object thoroughly, which I have, no sanding or priming necessary, apply using a soft brush or roller. Straight off the bat, big red flag for me is where it says no sanding or priming necessary. I think having a blanket statement like that is a bit misleading. Some furniture paint companies do put that on their tins or their bottles, but they also have heaps of information out there to help people dealing with pieces that do need sanding or priming. Whereas KMART is not going to help you with that, so you know, speaks for itself. So I'm using the same kind of brush for both of these paints. It's just one of my smaller sleek brushes, and starting on the glass, I am not scuff sanding the glass because I really don't feel you should have to do that. If a paint claims that it can adhere to glass without a primer, then it should adhere to the glass without having to sand it either. And it also did say that there's no sanding necessary, so I'm not scuff sanding the glass. And I've painted glass in the past, and I've just used a primer on it before using my paint, and it has been fine. Now, as much as I'm not a fan of chalk paint, I have used chalk paint in the past, and this does not feel or act like a chalk paint. And on that note, with the name chalk paint on the pot, as other people have pointed out, I'm surprised they're even allowed to use that, because I'm pretty sure that's trademarked by Annie Sloan. Someone please correct me in the comments if that isn't true, but yeah, it's a little odd. Now moving on to the decor and furniture paint. Okay, so this one also claims to be a matte finish, and it says chalk finish on it as well, so I'm not sure if it's a chalk paint or they're saying it's a chalk paint or not, but anyway. Matte finish, it says preparation, lightly sand previously painted and glossy surfaces. For best results, prime bare metal and timber. It doesn't say anything about priming glass or anything like that, or glossy surfaces. The surface must be clean, dry and free from grease, oil, dirt, rust, scale and other contaminants. Application, stir or shake the can thoroughly before use. Apply 2 coats. And it says that you can apply it with brush, roller or spray gun. I am absolutely not putting this stuff in my spray gun at all. No way in hell. And it says it can be applied to glass, metal, ceramic, timber. Wow, that's really thick. So straight out of the can, look how thick it is. Right, I'm holding that on an angle. It's like really thick and goopy. Yeah, I'll grab a spoon. See if I can do it so that you can see this. Yuck. That's disgusting. Alright, I'll give this a stir. Oh my god, why is it so thick? That's gross. Yuck. Honestly, I've used thick paints before, but none quite this thick and goopy. It was absolutely disgusting. Really odd texture. And the smell was absolutely horrendous as well. As far as application and how it feels, it felt as gross as it looks. You can see it doesn't, it was like painting with a really thick oil paint. Wasn't nice at all. The chalk paint on the right was a lot better, had a lot better feel to it whilst applying it. Much better than this, at the very least, which isn't really saying much. Okay, so these are completely dry now. So looking at the decor furniture paint first, the sheen is kind of all over the place. It's more of a satin finish here, and kind of between a matte and a satin on this side. It's probably hard to tell on the camera, but that I really wouldn't call it a matte finish. On the glass, same, it's kind of patchy and all over the place, and I found the same problem with this one the first time I used it. The sheen is all over the place, and I stirred these really well, so not sure what the deal is with that. Okay, so the chalk paint, keep in mind it says on here ultra matte finish, and it's supposed to be a chalk paint. Anyone who's familiar with chalk paint would look at that and say there is no way that is a chalk paint, and there is no way that is an ultra matte finish. that is a satin finish. Absolutely a satin finish. And it's uneven as well. I'm sure hopefully you can see that there. It's an uneven finish. Let's have a look at it on the glass. Ow. I need to go hurting my wrist as well. I can't get the light to hit it. I can't get the light to hit it properly. But again, it's not a matte finish. Alright, so that's the sheen. I will check the adhesion now. So I'll check it on here first. I don't really have any nails, but I will try my hardest. Straight off the bat, it's coming off. So you can see it coming up there. God, that feels horrible. Check this one. I'm not putting heaps of pressure on this. Like you've seen, I've got no nails. So it's come up in a few spots there. On the glass, I'm going to point out again, it said nothing about priming glass or scuff sanding the glass. Again, not putting heaps on that. So there's that one, and that's definitely not sticking to glass. No, I wouldn't really call either of those suitable for glass. The adhesion on this one seems to be a lot better than that one, but I still wouldn't trust it. This one is claiming to be a chalk paint, and this one says it is a matte finish, or chalk finish. It says it right there, chalk finish. It doesn't say anything about it having a built-in sealer or anything like that, or not needing. Neither of them say anything about needing to be clear coated for protection. Chalk paints need to be sealed. So unless you're working with a mineral paint that has a built-in top coat that doesn't need to be top coated once it's been applied, if you're working with a chalk paint, it does need to be sealed. So be it with a clear coat or hemp salve like wax or hemp oil or something like that, it does need to be sealed, because without top coat, without sealing, it won't be durable. Neither of these say anything about finishing them with a sealant. So yeah, if I was using these, I would be using a primer every time and using a top coat every time, even though it says nothing about it. And I think it was this one specifically claimed it doesn't need priming or scuff sanding. So if I was to use either of those, not that I ever will, I would be scuff sanding, using a good quality primer and a good quality top coat. But if you're going to be paying for a good quality primer, then why would you waste your money on these? Honestly, I wouldn't waste my time with these. If you're going to be looking for something cheap to use just to start off with, or if you're on a really tight budget, go to Bunnings and buy sample pots. That would be my advice for this. Okay, now we're going to be testing out the clear coats. So we've got I'm going to go through the instructions now. The Decor and Furniture Lacquer gloss finish. In my experience, gloss finishes are really hard to do well. Can go on glass, not metal, ceramic and timber. Application: ensure surface is clean and dry, stir well before use. Using brush or roller, apply lacquer to the surface as either a top coat or on its own. Preparation: lightly sand previously painted and glossy surfaces. For best results, prime bare metal and timber with an appropriate primer. I swear they've just put the same information on this that they did on the paint, unless I'm holding the paint. No, it's not the paint. And we're all familiar with this one, Millie satin top coat. And we'll go through the instructions with this too. Ensure your project is clean and free of dust, dirt and grime. Using a good quality paintbrush or sponge, apply a thin, even coat of boutique top coat. Do not overwork it. Allow each coat to dry for 1 to 3 minutes. My hand keeps shaking. Hours prior to applying further coats. Should you wish to apply more coats, repeat step 2. Allow to dry for at least 48 hours before setting items on the sealed surface. Okay, you know I don't follow the instructions. My two preferred methods for applying clear coat is brush and roller. I do also like spraying it on, but I am not putting that in my sprayer as well. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, let's do it. Just for the purpose of this video, I have painted the top of this bedside table with Millie Black Bear in the mineral paint so that it's got a nice even flat surface to test these on. Starting with the KMART clear coat, and this is my first time opening this tin, but for some reason there is what looks like build up and rust around the edge of the tin and the lid. Gave it the old sniff test, and not expecting flowers and pretty stuff, but it wasn't very pleasant at all. The consistency is very thick and slimy, as you can see. It's kind of like the same consistency of like clag, maybe a little thinner, but yeah, like clag glue. When I'm using a clear coat, I only put a very small amount on my roller, and this was really hard to only put a small amount on because of how thick and slimy it is. So I did have to try and remove quite a bit on the edge of the container, but there was still a lot on there. Rolling it on wasn't too bad, but it was still very sticky, and I could feel how thick and goopy it was. Now swapping over to a brush, and you can really see here how thick it is. And I could already tell straight off the bat that it was going to be very streaky. But I am applying it in the same manner that I apply my Millie clear coat when I'm using a brush. Now moving on to the Millie clear coat. You guys have seen me use this product a million times, and I absolutely swear by it. It is thinner than other clear coats, and it doesn't affect the durability of it at all. I absolutely love this stuff, and it is so easy to use. Using a roller for clear coat is my favourite way to apply it when I can. Sometimes it's not always feasible, but this is the best way I find to get a nice smooth finish. And now applying it with a brush, and again, super easy to use. Even with a brush, I get a nice smooth finish with the Millie clear coat. Okay, so this is what we've got, all dry. Starting off with, we'll start off with Millie. Alright, so this one was rolled, and this one was brushed. Brushing, you will get a little bit of brush strokes in it. I need to sit down because my head won't tilt down that far. Okay, so even using a brush with Millie clear coat, I still get a nice smooth finish. There is a little bit of brush strokes in it, but nothing compared to what's on the other side, which I'll show you in a second. Actually, I'll show you now. So so this is brushed with Millie. Trying to show it so that the sheen, the light is hitting the sheen. And then this one is brushed. So that is the KMART clear coat brushed, and it looks bloody horrendous. Really uneven, full of brush strokes, and you watched me brush it on. I brushed it on in the same manner as I did with the Millie, and it has come out bloody awful. Okay, so this is rolled on. So that's the KMART clear coat rolled on. And this is supposed to be a gloss finish, by the way. And this is Millie rolled on. The Millie has come up with, sorry, the hiccups. Millie has come up with a nicer glossier finish than the supposed gloss finish has. But yeah, that's rolled on. I definitely do prefer rolling my clear coat on. It comes up heaps nicer. That's it from a distance. So you can see the different sheens like that. You can see how much of a mess these ones are, especially from back here. So that's the clear coat. I've seen people in Facebook groups suggesting that this KMART paint is the same quality as specially made furniture paint. I don't want to come across like an absolute dick or like I'm being pretentious, but they are not the same quality at all. And saying something like that is just wrong. And that's not my opinion, it's fact. It is just wrong. There is a huge difference between an opinion and a fact. Really good quality products and ingredients go into the furniture paints that so many people know and love. If you're paying $7 for this or $10 for that, how much do you think the ingredients cost, flies, that they put into them? And a lot of people say that furniture paints are expensive. They're not expensive, they're quality. They are more than fairly priced for what you're getting for them. I've been on both ends of this scale. I started off using Bunnings sample pots and mixing my own chalk paint I think I was using corn flour to make mine. And I just started off doing it that way and using sample pots and using cheap paint because I wasn't sure if this was going to be something I wanted to do long term. Boy, did that change. And I totally am on board with that. If someone wants to do that and just use something like sample pots or hell, even chalk paint from KMART, if you really want to use something like that just to see if you actually even enjoy working on furniture, then by all means go for it. But I would seriously consider sampling other like good quality brands of furniture paint if it is something you eventually want to get into long term, and especially if you're wanting to sell your furniture. I personally wouldn't use the KMART furniture paints on something that I was going to sell. I wouldn't feel right in myself using something of this quality and then putting a big price tag on it and selling it. Another thing to consider is the fact that there are several Australian furniture paint brands out there, and I'm fairly certain they are all run by just regular people. Hi, I'm going to interject here because I couldn't think of all of the names whilst I was doing the video yesterday. But I have looked up every Australian furniture paint brand that I can find, and I'm going to read them out for you, starting with the ones that I have used myself. So, of course, Carts and Millie. Then we have Mint by Michelle, Made by Paint, Pureco. I haven't used the paints of this one yet, but Unique Options, and she has sent me some products to try, and cannot wait to do that. Vintage Bird, or Bird on the Hill. I have used some of their paints a few years back and they were really good. Now, brands I haven't used but I do know of are Blake and Taylor, Mezzie and Frank, Plain Jane, Artisan Paint and Flip Paints. So that's a fairly long list. So there are heaps of Australian paint brands out there for everyone to try. I'm a creature of habit, and even I want to try all of them. I'm so keen to try them all. I'm going to link all of them in the description, so if you want to go and check them all out, you can. Like, up until recently, I wasn't even aware that there was this many, so it's pretty cool. And I think it's always great to support Australian made and owned. So go have a look. There are so many to choose from, and they are wonderful people who are trying to make a go of it, and these people would and do appreciate all of the support they get. I've seen so many small, privately owned, independent shops, like furniture paint shops and little shops that do furniture painting workshops, closing their doors because they can't afford to stay open because they're losing so much business. It's because the economy is going down the guzzler, and because companies like KMART are selling inferior products and people are just gobbling it up and using it instead of going out and buying good quality paint products. Like, I know a lot of these people and I've come to know them a lot, and whilst I might not comment on everything, I sit back in the dark and watch and see all of their posts, and I see how happy they are when they have customers, and they love seeing their customers, and they love having these people in their shops. And then the following week I'll see that they're closing their shop, and I'm like, that's sad, man. That makes me really, really sad, because I don't want to see that happen to them. I'm going to stop getting all sappy now. Another thing is, I think one of the most important things is, so I can't find it on here now. So on, where is it? Okay. So you'll see on things like this, see if I can point it out here. So this is the Millie mineral paint. So you'll see here, I might have to take a photo, very low VOC. So that's, pretty sure that's volatile, whatever it is, I'm putting it here. So it's offing gases, so it's very low in this paint. So I don't know if anyone's noticed, but like really strong paints, like I found I had an issue with it with aqua enamel, massive headaches after using that paint. So then there's mint mineral paint, which has, here we go, no VOC, child safe, and no odor. I'll scratch the paint off of there so you can actually read it. VOC free, non-toxic. KMART furniture paint and the KMART chalk paint, neither of them have anything on there about being low or no VOC or non-toxic. So that is a huge factor in choosing specialty furniture paint over cheap KMART paint. So if you were to use any of these brands, and if you had any issues with them, or you didn't know how to use something or anything like that, or if you just wanted assistance or help with anything, you could contact them through, I imagine, their social media pages, or by email, or calling them, or going into one of their suppliers' stores, so one of their stockists, like brick and mortar stores, and get help. You could get assistance from them, and you can follow their Facebook pages and their YouTube channels and all of that, and get support and advice on how to use their products best. And yeah, it's brilliant. And there's communities built around these products and around these brands, and it's amazing. But if you were to use the KMART products and you had trouble with them and you didn't know the best way to use them, or if you're having any issues, who are you going to contact? Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. You're not going to call Kmart. You're not going to go into a Kmart store and walk up to bloody Billy that's working behind the counter at the lay-by section and say, hey, I use this paint and it's not doing things properly, and you know, what should I do? I don't know. I only work here. So, to sum up, you get what you pay for. You really do. But I think that covers everything. I know there's going to be something that I've missed, and I know there's going to be people that come at me in the comments like, yeah, well, paint is paint, and oh, not everyone can afford it. Well, sorry. This is my opinion on it. Check the description for any links for anything relevant to the video, products used and stuff like that. You know the drill. Don't forget to check out my membership video. And yeah, I think that's it. Alright, thanks for watching if you've watched this far, and I appreciate your support, and I hope to see you next time.